Hello, I'm William Gallagher. This is Mac and N. One more thing. And with me is, of course, well, I say of course, it's not always guaranteed these days, Malcolm Owen, who is live on the end of this satellite link up. Yes?
Yes.
Yes!
Yes.
All right. Has it been a blissfully internet problem-free week for you? Can I just check that?
No, there was a major problem again. I know that I went through a month of atrocities with BT and the phone line deciding not wanting to exist anymore. But this happened earlier this week. BT suffered a major outage that affected, according to a BBC News report, several 100,000 UK customers. And this basically means that for one entire day this week, I've had the excuse of I've not been able to do work because, hey, look at this newspaper. And it's brilliant to be able to do that, and it's not a hugely depressing thing that's happened, like a murder or a national outcry or war. Just be able to say, look, my internet service screwed up, they're reporting it in the newspaper, is that evidence enough for you? It's brilliant.
Who did you show the newspaper to?
I didn't, because I don't need to. We have this thing called the internet, and I just went, look at this URL. Even the BBC is reporting about BT being useless.
While your internet was off, and you were therefore not working, how did you tell someone to look at the URL?
I waited until I was able to.
The URL was there? Okay. Suspicious.
Well, remember, I don't have... where I live, I have internet through broadband. I have a landline, and that's it. I have no cellular coverage at all, so I can't use my phone to go on Twitter and say, hey, BT, could you sort this out? LOL, or whatever people say to BT nowadays on Twitter.
I think it's stronger than LOL. When this was happening, I've only just put this together because yours was an internet problem. My mum had BT problems. Her broadband was fine, but her phone went off, and it is possibly the worst designed fault reporting website I've used in many a day. But it did end up by promising faithfully that it would be fixed by midnight on Saturday. So when nothing had happened by Monday and I phoned up for it, they were saying, well, we don't work over the weekend. Duh. Okay. Right. Fair enough, really. Foolish of me to have expected them to. Sorry, this is becoming the anti-BBC. This is becoming the anti-BT show. I'm generally all right with that, but just for the potential of legal issues, shall we move on to other providers of things in our modern world, such as, for example, Amazon? I honestly think, well, you don't know the strength of this, but there is a report now that Amazon is going to open hundreds of physical bookstores. The Wall Street Journal is reporting a Dow Jones report of the CEO of something called General Growth Properties. It's a shopping centre owner company. CEO Sandeep Menthrani just casually throws in the middle that you've got Amazon opening brick and mortar bookstores, and their goal is to open, as I understand, 300 to 400, he says. And then they went off onto something else. Malcolm, what goes around comes around. Shops, actual physical shops, are they going to do this?
Well, they've already done one. There's already an actual physical Amazon bookstore, which is an actual bookstore. I know they've got one or two places in the US which are for deliveries, but they've made one physical bookstore in Seattle in November last year. Proper brick and mortar store. They had actual books on the shelves with pricing on the shelves that related to the website. There were review cards from the website version appearing next to the books as well. Books were selected based upon Amazon customer ratings, pre-order sales, popularity on Goodreads, and a couple of other things. So at the time it was built as... we didn't know whether it was a publicity stunt or the start of things that are going to be coming. But if this report is right, we could see more than just one, which will be interesting.
I'd actually forgotten till you said if they'd done one, but I remember now thinking, interesting publicity stunt. But you're right, it could be toe in the water experiment. I wish we knew if there was a way for it worked. There's a great thing in the Wall Street Journal report that explains that with a physical store, customers will be able to leaf through books. God, the advances in shopping we're getting out of Amazon for this. This is slightly stepping back from it, but if it's true, and we have to keep saying that, Amazon effectively destroyed all the bookshops in the world and is now going to create all the bookshops in the world. Was it this devilish evil plan from the start?
Probably not, but think of the stores as not just bookstores. Bearing in mind, Amazon has so many things it offers and sells and everything, you could expect a bookstore to be quite normal, but if you have a bookstore that also handles things like Amazon deliveries, if it's a drop-off and pick-up point for deliveries, then you'll have people turning up, looking at books that are on sale there and maybe getting a couple more sales at the same time as picking up whatever they've ordered from the actual Amazon store onto interwebs.
My lies, this could actually work. I could see a sense to this.
If they're really lucky, what could happen is all the internet sales end up being so popular that they get to save money by closing down the store.
The thing I really like about this, thing that tempts me into wishing it was true, is that I feel everything comes around. I mean, I'm a radio man. Radio died when television started, but look at it now, stronger than ever. It's unrecognisable, but it's a massive force in media, and ironically, television is heading down now. Remember, there was a reference in Star Trek to television ceasing to be a popular entertainment form by, I don't know, 22 something, and we all laughed. But now, could be. Anyway, all of this comes out of Sandeep Mathrani, which, apologies to the man, I'd never heard of him before. I'm sure we'll never hear from him again, but obviously we will watch out for this. As one thing might open, one thing might close. There's this report today about Zag and Mofi, which I was convinced was a CBBC children's show, but it isn't. And the reason I was convinced of that is I recognise Mofi. I've bought Mofi equipment before. They make external batteries, cases and things like this. And seemingly so does this firm called Zag. Zag has bought Mofi. Is this definitely happening?
Well, if they have announced a signing of a merger agreement, then yeah, that's going to be happening.
It's funny, that word merger, isn't it? It hardly ever actually means merger. It means Mofi's gone, Zag wins. Or whichever company they say first in the announcement wins in the end.
Yeah, that's unfortunately quite true.
I have a fondness for Mofi because I bought one of their external batteries, their juice packs for my iPhone in Grand Central Station in New York City, my favourite place in the world. So it was what I needed. I loved the design. It was in one of the greatest places I like. I like Mofi. I've never, to my knowledge, bought anything from Zag. Do you know much about the company?
No.
I wonder if that's why they bought Mofi then.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as long as the Mofi brand continues, well, the brand doesn't continue, the products continue, because I do like their batteries. This is all about companies today. Have you noticed? Let's try to do something completely different and talk about corporations instead. There was news this week that Alphabet, the new Google thing, is now, or possibly by the time we finish the sentence, was the most valuable company in the world. Is that it? Apple's doomed?
No. Don't be so stupid. Grow up.
Now, don't mince words. What do you really feel?
Well, I know that Alphabet or Google Prime or whatever you want to call it, they made a profit of $4.9 billion for the fourth quarter, which is a year-on-year increase of a tiny amount. Share price goes up. Alphabet, as of earlier this week, was worth $568 billion, and Apple was worth $535 billion. So granted, on one side, in the anatomy measurement compartment of Alphabet's financial section, there's certainly people cheering because they're bigger than Apple. But at the same time, it's not really that much. I mean, Apple's not really crying in a corner going, I used to be brilliant. They're not wiping their tears with their $1,000 bills or whatever they use to wipe tears with when they're stupidly rich. It's only a small thing. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect people on the production line, doesn't affect people in the shops. Oh, that's the market leader. No, that's the biggest company. No.
You don't check this stuff every morning?
No.
Okay. Do you know, I wonder, do they wipe their eyes with spare iPhone cases? They've probably got a few of those. Now, I see the point, and I have in fact grown up in these last few moments, but I would like to point out that actually reminds me of another historical thing, because, let me check this. This is what happens when you think of something you can't remember. Right, Friday, the 13th of January, 2006. Steve Jobs sent a little email around Apple. Do you remember some years before, there's this famous story that Michael Dell, when he was considered this brilliant businessman, was asked, what would you do with Apple, Mr. Dell? And he said, sell it. I'd sell it all. It's worthless. Or words to that effect and accents to that effect. On Friday the 13th, 2006, Steve Jobs wrote a memo that said, team, it turned out that Michael Dell wasn't perfect at predicting the future. Based on today's stock market close, Apple is worth more than Dell. This is what reminds me of what's going on here, though. This is the relevant thing, I think. Stocks go up and down, he said, and things may be different tomorrow, but I thought it was worth a moment of reflection today. It's not worth more than a moment of reflection, I think, and I like the historical echo more than anything else, but there is something mildly diverting about the fact that Alphabet, I could never get used to calling it Alphabet, Google Prime Plus thingy, is at least briefly bigger than Apple. And tomorrow it'll be Apple. And these things don't matter, but they're interesting. I'm in a corporate historical mood today, and I'm going to drag you along with me. Saying that about Steve Jobs also reminds me another history thing. I should say that I know that history note about Apple because Friday, January the 13th, I covered that on macandn.com. We are covering this 40th anniversary of Apple by examining the company's history week by week. What did it do on January the 13th? Every year from 76 to 2016, we're pulling out the interesting stuff we find bit by bit. So I'm steeped in all this stuff. But actually, I found something this week. Well, I didn't find it, other people did. A gorgeous slice of Apple history. Steve Jobs, when he was out of Apple and was at Next, eventually got to make a big pitch, one of his keynote style speeches promoting the future as he saw it. Typical Steve Jobs, very big, very grandiose plans. You completely believe him while you're watching it, except you haven't watched it. It was lost for a long time. And the film Steve Jobs, during research for it, pre-production for that motion picture, found some VHS copies. They've been digitized, released online, and now we can actually hear Steve Jobs in his prime being incredibly compelling.
I think I speak for everybody at Next saying it's great to be back. I haven't done this in a few years, so I'm a little nervous today. If you happen to see anything you like, feel free to let me know. Thanks for joining us today. I think together we're going to experience one of those times that occurs once or twice in a decade of computing, a time when a new architecture is rolled out that's really going to change the future of computing. And we've worked on this for 3 years. It's turned out incredibly great. So I hope that...
Actually, that video goes on a lot longer. It's 2 hours, 38 minutes of Steve Jobs and associated events. We'll put a note to the video in the show notes, but honestly, even as long as it is strangely compelling. Malcolm, were you a Next fan?
Well, to be honest, when you said Steve Jobs being compelling in his prime, I immediately imagined Steve Jobs as Billy Mays, the well-known and former pitchman from US cable TV when they were trying to sell things that no one else wanted to sell. Hi, Billy Mays here! That's a really bad impression.
Who that is?
Okay, you know the Slap Chop guy?
No. Is that something to do with How I Met Your Mother?
Again, no. This is not working, is it?
Yeah, it is. I want to know this. Tell me now. What's going on?
Right. You know infomercials?
Yes.
Okay. And you know how that whenever you see infomercials, there's usually someone who's appeared in another infomercial presenting it.
Okay, yes.
Just to explain to everyone else who isn't in the UK we don't usually deal with infomercials. That's a late night shopping thing that no one really watches.
Obviously including me. But yes, I've seen the concept.
But yeah, Billy Mays is one of these people who fronts a product on TV, or used to before he passed on. And it's always something extremely mundane, useless, novelty or something like that. And he was seen by some to be the greatest pitchman of our modern era.
Cool. It's just, I'm sorry to say it, you reminded of this guy because I said compelling. When you said that about mundane products, I was suddenly put in mind of Thingies of the Week. It's time for Thingies of the Week, which hopefully are not mundane and ordinary, but give us this Billy Mays guy-style pitch for what your Thingy of the Week is, please.
Oh, are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, not at all, but let's hear it.
Hi, Billy Mays here! No, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it, sorry.
Oh.
I'll do it in the style of Malcolm Owen.
Okay, yeah, oh, he's good. I like him.
Yeah. If you're familiar with digital cameras, they can now take video. It's a modern advance from still images. The problem with most cameras nowadays is the microphone in them. They're not really that good. At least with the camera that I've got, which is a Nikon DSLR. So a big chunky stills camera which can also take video. The microphone is positioned in such a way that if you have it constantly autofocusing, or if you have it manual focus, you have to change it yourself and everything. While you're recording a video, there's just a huge amount of noise generated that it just ruins the audio recording. And even if you leave the camera alone and you turn off autofocus while recording video, the audio quality itself is, quite frankly, dreadful. So this has been cheesing me off for quite some time, and I've had my eye on an external microphone for my camera. So now I've got one. I picked up the Rode Video Mic Go. So it's a little, like a shotgun mic that you put on the top of your camera. Has its own little mount, which is a shock mount, so it's separated from the mechanics of it. So you're not going to get any of the motor whine when it's autofocusing. You're not going to transfer the vibrations when you're changing the zoom or manually focusing. I did a quick test as soon as I got it, and I found it to be absolutely fantastic. Much better audio quality compared to the in-camera one. The next stage up is for me to get hold of, pardon the terminology, a dead cat for it.
No, sorry, got to stop you there. I have no... I have no clue what a dead cat is. With Billy Mays, I was curious to find out. Shall I just not ask you what a dead cat is?
In modern parlance, in terms of audio engineering, a dead cat is the fluffy external shell of a microphone. Normally it's like a foam that you see on a microphone.
Yes.
Like a windbreak. A dead cat is an advanced form of that. So it's a very fluffy sort of external shell that you put over the microphone, and it immediately catches the wind and lessens the impact of wind noise when you're outside.
So the stuff that looks like black candy floss is actually called dead cats?
Well, it's called a dead cat. It's got other names as well, but I'll use the term dead cat because it's slightly less depressing than the name that Rode uses for the actual product.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, this microphone video might go. It's about £50, so that would be about $75 or something like that. There's a couple of other versions. There's a version which has a few on-mic controls, which some people will find more useful. So that's about £70, so about $100, I think. There's another one again, but I'm not going to go near that because that's way too expensive. But yeah, this is a cheap and cheerful plug it in and see if it works thing. Yeah, works fine. I'm happy with it.
Actually, what are you using it for? What are you producing?
Well, you know, whenever you go outside and you want to take a video of something, and you want it to be a decent-looking video, for example, if you were to, let's say if you're a family man and you have a small drain on your resources going around in the park and you wanted to record that little Sproglet's playing on the swing or whatever, you could do it on your phone, certainly. But if you want better quality, you do it on a proper video camera, or you get a DSLR or mirrorless camera or whatever and record with that. But the audio in those are pretty shockingly bad, so this improves the audio.
Okay, I like the sound of that. Funny enough, I've just been involved in a project where the video was perfect but the sound was dreadful. I'll try to find a way to subtly point them at the show notes for this for next time. I asked you to be this Billy Mays character for your Thingy of the Week. I feel I should attempt the same, but I won't because I just haven't heard of him.
Just you
before.
Be you.
I'll try. Okay. Say, have you ever been on your iPhone and wanted to copy something and paste it somewhere else? Of course you have. Yeah, okay. And then my Thingy of the Week is Copied. It's a clipboard manager for iOS. There is also a Mac one. The Mac one's $8. The iOS one is free for a little bit of use, $2. Do you know, I'm not actually sure of the UK pricing because I bought it in the American store. A small amount of money, and when you pay, you get to copy lots of things, and they sync between your Mac and your iPhone. It's just a really neat way of being able to... I had sent somebody a note this morning, actually, about... Somebody had been contacting me over Twitter and thingies. I had to get what they were saying and all their contact details. So I grabbed their phone number from my contacts book, Twitter address from Twitter, the problem they were having from their email, and just popped them all in one go into an email that I sent off from my iPad. With Copied, you select something, you copy it as normal, and you swipe down to open Notification Center. Just opening Notification Center saves that clipping to Copied, and you go off and do another and another. And then within Copied, you can say, compile these into one, paste it here, share it there, do all that stuff. I used to be obsessed with one called Clips, but you would have to select something, copy it, open Clips or the notification thing, go into it, paste it, come back out, get the next thing, and Copied is only just one little thing better, but it's significantly better. Nothing on iOS is as good as the Clipboard Manager on OS X. I love the fact that I can copy things all day and paste them back in any order, and I'd like to see that on iOS, but we ain't got it yet. So in the moment, Copied 1.1.1 for iOS. For some reason, I'm obsessed with it this week, so it's my thingy.
You know what, you say Copied, just to explain for a little bit of behind the scenes here, we do have a running order, show notes sort of thing that we have prepared beforehand, which just gives us a general guideline of what we're doing. So intro, news item 1 is this, news item 2 is this, and so on. That's for us to use during the recording so we know where the recording's going. At the bottom it says Thingies of the Week, and it says Malcolm, question mark, because you make the show notes, so you make the running order, and therefore you don't know what mine is going to be. And then it looks like Malcolm, question mark, William, copied, probably. I immediately read that as, is he just going to copy whatever I'm going to say?
Just for complete level detail here, I write the running order in Omni Outliner, but I send it to Malcolm over Slack, and Omni Outliner Slack isn't great, so I copy things and pop them over. I was doing this on my iPad, so I did bits and sent them over Copied. I was terrified that you were going to say I had accidentally pasted in something else I've been writing this morning. And I'm not going to go into that yet. Tell me your other thingy of the week, please, very, very quickly.
Okay, it's another thing. It's not specifically Mac-based. It's actually Windows and PlayStation 4-based. But they're going to be bringing it to iOS in the future, apparently. A recently released game called The Witness. If you're familiar with Myst, the mysterious island where you got puzzles everywhere and you're going, what on earth am I supposed to do here? And it's really confusing and all that. The Witness is similar but not. You have much easier puzzles. They're all line mazes. They're the only real things you can interact with on the entire island. But as you complete these line mazes interact with the physical environment. They unlock other line mazes for you to go through. It sounds simplistic saying line maze, but you start off with a basic set of rules where if you see this symbol, or these symbols, you've got to do this. But then you'll see another set of puzzles where you are introduced to a new symbol, where if you see it, you've got to follow a different set of rules that apply to that symbol, and you see the symbols combining, and it gets extremely complicated quite quickly. But it's an absolutely beautiful looking game, and it's one of those that I don't want people to go in and be spoiled by seeing all these puzzles being solved quickly online or things like that. It's an absolutely fantastic game. I do urge people who love puzzles and don't care about storyline and just want something gorgeous to look at, see if you can get it. It's by Jonathan Blow, who was the guy who created Braid, the time-travelling platform game from a few years ago. So, yeah, this second game of his is absolutely fantastic, and I do urge anyone who has a PlayStation 4 to see if they could pick it up and to spend way too long playing it.
There was a time-travelling game called Braid. I'm a
Yes.
time-travel nut. I'd not heard of this. You obviously liked it. Is it on Mac or iOS? Can I have a look?
It's on pretty much everything nowadays, I think.
Okay, well, once again, you've set my thing. In fact, I'm just going to copy you, probably.
Ha ha ha.
All right, I have one more thing. Not very long ago, a few minutes ago, back in the midst of a few minutes ago, I said there was this guy called Sandeep Menthrani that, with apologies to the guy, I'd never heard of before, and frankly, I'd never hear him again. We're going to hear from him again. I think actually this might be from the same interview. I think General Growth Properties, this shopping centre mall thing, does an earnings call like Apple and other big companies. Somewhere in there, I'm honestly trying to understand this, and I'm hoping, Malcolm, you will understand. There was another he was deep on suggestions, this guy. Amazon might be doing 300 to 400. Apple's retail locations are somehow a problem for shopping malls. Sales for under 10,000 square foot stores grew 3% in 2015, but that number jumps to 4.5% if Apple stores are excluded. So somehow Apple stores, I think they're getting people into malls, but they're not getting them to buy other things, except when they do. Malcolm, can you make this clear in any way?
It's a weird oddity of statistics, I believe.
We need Amazon to open shops in malls. Stat. That's what we need.
To be clear, they do remove other stores as well from the workings out. So it's not just the Apple stores; it's also removing anchor tenants. For example, Macy's, which I believe is a store that sells maces.
Yeah, I love Macy's. They've got Macy's in New York. I've got a Macy's bag somewhere. Hang on.
They sell bags. I thought it was just medieval weaponry.
Yeah. We're never going shopping together. Macy's is not encountered. Now, hang on, I'm searching for this. Now you've said Macy's. They also don't count, I don't think they count Tiffany's. My mind's gone off to the last time I was at Tiffany's and I felt I should have dressed up better. At least the Apple stores let me slouch around.
Hey, I have to dress up to go outside, you know.
Oh, right. Well, I think that's the time to stop with that image in our minds. Has been lovely talking to you up to that moment. I may need a week to recover, and good luck with coming back online dressed next Thursday. Goodbye.
I don't mean that I'm naked, I mean I'm fully clothed, I'm just wearing slobby clothes. Get your mind out of the gutter.
And grow up. Okay,
Yeah.
I've learnt as a human being this week. I'm going to go think about that. Goodbye.